Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my Code to Care video series. I like to rotate between education topics, topics about use cases, and topics about safety, ethics, bias, that kind of thing. And I'm going to do a two-part education video about open source versus proprietary models. So LLMs come in these different flavors. You've probably heard of open source models, so I wanted to describe better what those are and how they compare with open source models. So let me just do this quick diagram. So let's say you have your environment and where your application is running. And this might be on-prem or it might be your cloud tenant, not somebody else's. And you have your application here. So proprietary models like you get from openAI is a famous one, but from Azure, Google, that sort of thing, they all have these proprietary models. They run somewhere else, and they run in their cloud environment, generally speaking. And this is a proprietary LLM. Okay, so your application here is calling that LLM to get some work done and getting a response. So we do a lot of work, for instance, with openAI's models, and this is the way it works. We have our app running in our customer's environment or our own environment, depending, our customer's tenant, and it calls out to openAI or Azure's hosted openAI, and you get a response back. So these proprietary models generally work that way. They're super large. They take a lot of computers to operate, and they want to be proprietary, so they don't want to necessarily share the structure of the model or the weights or those sorts of things. They view it as their secret sauce, so it's treated as a black box, generally speaking, so they can kind of protect that. Hey there, I'm just popping in to say that I'd love to hear your comments and feedback on this video. I read all the comments, so let me know what you think. Let me know what suggestions you have for my next video by putting in some comments below the line here. Thanks. Now, an open source model, at least the most open ones, is one that you can install right here. You can download it, and you can put it right here. So open source LLM. So you can put it in your on-prem environment. You can put it in your cloud tenant, and your application can use it locally. So that's the difference. And so the major differences, I would say, let me do this over here, are one is that you can download these models yourself. So you can download the code, you can inspect the weights, you can put it in your environment, that kind of thing. You can fine-tune it. So some of these proprietary models you can't fine-tune, you just have to use the model as it is. You have more data control. So in this case, your data is going out to their black box, let's say, and you'll have license terms about what they can do with your data, which you may or may not like. But also there's a trust factor. Your data is kind of leaving the building. In this case, your data kind of stays within your environment, and that might be a better, more comfortable situation for you. Even though I say you can download it and run it locally, some of these models need very large servers, a GPU, a bunch of GPUs, sort of all connected together to run the models, even for inference, not even training. So I'm making it sound easy, but it's not necessarily easy, depending on the size of these open source models, for you to run it in your environment. So sometimes you might have an on-prem system, and you might use a cloud tenant, your cloud tenant, to host one of these big open source models where you can get a bunch of GPUs and you can get reasonable performance. But it's still within your environment. It just is not often easy to run, depending on the size of the model. And the last thing I would say is the open source models are not as good. And by good, I just mean the quality of the output. The quality of the text or the quality of whatever the model is doing. And I'll show you in the next video what I mean by that and how these open source models rank versus the proprietary models. But generally speaking, they're not as good. They're behind the proprietary models. So that might be perfectly okay for your use case, or it might be a problem and you might need to use a proprietary model to get the performance and accuracy that you want. So I hope that was educational and clear. Like I said, in my next video, I'll show you how open source and closed source models rank, so you can get a better sense for the difference. Okay, that's it. Thanks, everyone, and until next time, bye. Hey there, I hope you liked this video. I've added a next video at the end of this, so take a look at that if you enjoyed this. And if something resonated with you, please drop a comment down below here. I read every comment myself, and I really appreciate hearing from you. Thanks.